Welcome to another edition of Chalk or Not. This week we're talking about UFC Vegas 110, which is headlined by David Onama and Steve Garcia. Interesting featherweight matchup there. But again, this Chalk or Not segment is me briefly going over the entire card once again, but only the chalky spots. So for my definition of chalk, it's any money line that is minus 185 or wider. And for this card, I believe we have 7 of the 13 fights at chalk. So we're going to get right into it. First matchup we're going to speak of is Alencar, who comes in at minus 220, going up against Carnelossi. Now, I feel like this fight has recency bias written all over it. The last time we saw Alencar, she was able to accrue about 13 minutes of control time against Vanessa Demopoulos, who has horrible takedown defense and doesn't really know how to get up off her back. And then on the Carnelossi side, we saw her have to deal with a little bit of adversity from the Piedra Rodriguez side, and then get bailed out with a DQ victory that night. I think Carnelossi has good enough takedown defense to deal with somebody like Alencar. Alencar could get that early takedown, but I think Carnelossi will be good enough on the ground to avoid getting submitted. And then in the second and third rounds, I think it's going to get harder for Alencar to get off on her takedowns, and that will leave her ripe for the picking against Carnelossi. So at minus 220, I am picking Carnelossi to win this fight straight up, but at minus 220 for Alencar, I'm obviously going to have to put her in the not chalk-worthy category. Next up, we got Seokhyun Ko coming in at minus 185, going up against Phil Rowe. Now, last time around, Ko was plus 390 against Oban Elliott, and Elliott was unable to get to any of his grappling, and Ko was the one dictating the pace. Ko, formerly named the Korean Mike Tyson. This guy fights like that with the amount of power that he normally delivers, good combinations, doesn't seek the takedowns or go too berserk for it, but does a great job in terms of stalking his opponents and really mixing it up in the pocket and looking for his big shots to put opponents away, but also has shown, even in his last fight, the ability to grapple, and I believe all those advantages here over Rowe should get him over the line. Now, Rowe's length and reach and height will obviously put some strain on this matchup for Ko, but I don't think it's something that Ko will be too deterred by. Thus, I think he still gets the win, and I'm going to take Ko to win this fight, and I'll have to put him in the chalk-worthy category. And I wouldn't even mind a straight shot on him at minus 185 either. Our next up, we got Ardelean coming in at minus 400, going up against Montserrat Ruiz. Not going to get too deep into this one. We know how low level Ardelean is, and I get Ruiz is coming off a pretty long layoff and is not that high level herself, but we don't play minus 400 in these types of low level fights, so I'm going to put Ardelean in the not chalk-worthy category. Next up, we got Dante Johnson coming in at minus 350, going up against Cedricus Dumas. This is the one that I've been getting flamed for pretty much over the last couple of days since dropping my full card breakdown, picking Dumas to win this matchup, but it's one where you have to take into consideration the experience of Dumas and the fact that he'll probably put up a little bit more resistance than the heavyweights, the slow heavyweights that Johnson has been going up against. This will be Johnson's debut at 185 pounds, yet he'll still be giving up quite a bit of height and reach, and again, the speed will be a different, be fought at a different pace compared to what Johnson is used to with these bigger lumbering heavyweights he's been dealing with, and a couple of light heavyweights as well. So there is big questions on how he'll deal with the weight cut in the first place, how he'll deal with a guy who's fought 6 times, 7 times in the UFC already like Dumas, and if Johnson can't get that first round knockout, can he still pull off the victory? I'm thinking not. And again, I'll get flamed for this, but I have to feel if you are a responsible bettor by any means, you have to see that this is not a chalk-worthy spot for Dante Johnson, a guy who's come in with 6 straight first-round knockouts over very low-level heavyweights. Now, fighting in the UFC, we know the competition gets much, much harder. So I'm going to put Johnson in the not chalk-worthy category. Argue with a wall if you want. Sure, maybe he wins, but you don't bet this at minus 350 in this type of spot. All right. Next up, we got Billy Elekana coming in at minus 260, going up against Kevin Christian. Christian got on the UFC's roster through the Contender Series last season, and that was one of those spots where Dana's like, I don't really care to sign this guy, but the matchmakers see a use for him. Thus, he's in the UFC. And unfortunately for him, he's going up against a very tough Billy Elekana, who had a snooze fest last time around against Ibo Aslan, but still managed to pull off the upset and get his hand raised. And I'm expecting him to do better work here against Christian, utilize a little bit more of an aggressive approach to try to make up for that snooze fest from last time. And I think that will lead to Elekana eventually getting a finish here. And I think he does it quite dominantly, so much so to the point that at minus 260, I think he is chalk worthy. All right, next up, we got Nascimento coming in at minus 300. Going against Cody Durden, who comes in on short notice. A lot of people loving the BJJ threat of Nascimento, and I have to agree with them. Durden's on a little bit of a rough patch right now, 1-4 in his last 5 fights, coming up short against some pretty high-level competition, so I won't hammer him too much, but I think Nascimento has the perfect amount of grappling stylings to really cause Durden some trouble, and I think that will lead to Nascimento winning this fight by submission, but more importantly, I think he's chalk-worthy. All right, the last one we're going to talk about now is Isaac Dulgarian coming in at minus 240, going up against Yadier Del Valle. Dulgarian, a fan favorite in the sense that he's a guy that that fans love putting on their parlays, love chasing his chalk, really hoping that they can just go out there and rely on him to put together a smothering grappling approach to really stifle his opponents. But Del Valle is a very aggressive fighter, very strong fighter, undefeated as well. Only one win in the UFC, so he's still kind of unproven. But I think he has the type of aggressiveness and resistance that could cause Dulgarian some issues here. Now, I'm picking Dulgarian to win, don't get me wrong, but I have my questions about how dominant he can actually make this fight look, and this might be one where he'll have to go deeper into his bag and maybe have to go to the scorecards to get the win here. So I expect this fight to play out a little bit closer. I kind of like the over 2.5 at plus money. I feel like it's going to be hard for either guy to pull off a finish here. I expect Dulgarian to get it done, but I'm going to have to put him in the not chalk-worthy category. There you guys go. Chalk or not for UFC Vegas 110. I'll be back later this evening for the quick picks version of the UFC Vegas 110 breakdowns. I'll see you guys then. Peace.